What's up, everyone? Morey Croson here from the Performance Lab of California. We're going to do another speed breakdown here today. It's going to be, excuse me if I can't say the name correctly, Bingtian Su. I'm just going to say Su. I think that in China the last name is more the first name. I think the names are switched. Either way, for Su here, we got a recommendation for doing it just because he has a really fast turnover. Thought that was an interesting comment to say that this guy has a lot of fast turnover just because that's such a great teaching tool, right? I think the ability to get really, really good turnover is something that we can all get better as sprinters, as people trying to run faster. You want to be able to have less time spent on the ground. And we can see that Su is one of those guys that does a very effective job of not spending very much time on the ground. Now, one of the things that stands out for somebody like Su is he has a great acceleration phase. He gets out of the blocks extremely well, so I wanted to break that down a little bit, tell you guys exactly how he does it. First of all, he is 5'6", so that plays a part. That helps out. So the reason is because of really two reasons. One, it makes it so your spine angle could be different. He could have a little bit more of that bent over spine angle, but his spine's closer to where it would want to be in neutral, right? So where his spine is here compared to like where this guy's spine is while they're about the same in where the angle is from the hip, Su's a little bit closer to where his biomechanically correct one would be in comparison to the guy in lane 4 there. Okay, and so you can see how he's a little bit more leaned over, his spine's a little bit more in flexion. Su is a little bit more in extension already, so that helps him out for sure. Another thing that we've been talking about is that he does a good job of getting that first step down quick. Okay, get that first step down quick. You can externally rotate that foot a little bit too. See how that toe's turned out? All these guys almost have their toes a little bit turned out with that first step. You can see especially here. Here you can see a little bit. You can see with Su's, all those guys that get their feet turned out. I guess we could see in lane 1 what kind of not having a great start does, right? So this is really trying to overextend himself on that first step, and so it takes him longer to get that foot down, and that kind of messes up his overall transition going through. So anyway, we'll continue to watch him sprint. One of the things that helps him out here as he's coming forward is, this is where his height comes into play, is he can get into that knee flexion where he's bending here and then extension and pushing down to the ground. So he's almost able to create that leg cycle already when he's first initially starting out. Within 3 or 4 steps, he's already kind of going knee flexion, extending that knee and pressing off that ground. That's where you get a lot of power, okay, compared to the guys that are taller that still don't get as much ability to extend that knee out in front of him. You can see the difference here in the guy in lane 4 where his knee's coming straight through and then he has to just press right down. Okay, that the cycle there is very is not very good. You want to get to the point where you can get to extension of the knee and then get cycled back through, and Su's able to get that pretty quickly. So he's already extending out his knee in front of him and then he's able to push down, and that's what helps him with his acceleration phase, is that he is able to get into that cycle a lot quicker. Now you can see, all these guys are starting to open up as speed comes through, but Su's already opened up, right? He's already in a position where he's extending all the way out. These guys are still getting there. They're still being able to open up, and that becomes a huge advantage, right? He's already able to get to max speed very, very quickly compared to the other guys, and you can see that he's out in front because of that. Okay. As he gets going, he's just able to maintain that speed for a long period of time, which is important. It looks like, when he's going, he has a little bit more, I guess I would say all sprinters have a little bit more flexibility than most people, right? In that they're able to get their heels all the way to the butt. Now, I wanted to make sure to make this point that, I know one of the issues that I have when I'm sprinting, the reason I'm not even close to running these types of numbers, because I just don't have that simple quad flexibility to be able to bring that heel all the way up to my butt and cycle it all the way back through. Okay, now this is a functional range, right? Just because you can't do this within, and these guys might not even be able to do it when they're sitting still more in a static position, but their functional range, which ends up being more important when it comes into to sport, is they can get to that ability to drive their heel all the way up to the butt. What that makes them do is it makes it so they get a lot of height above the ground, right? They're able to get off the ground pretty well, and that ends up being very, very important. One of the issues that I see a lot is that, overall sprinters, you don't, or just runners or people that are struggling from a speed perspective, is they're not able to push off the ground and get that verticality. Okay, so you really want to work on being able to push on the ground and get that your body to come upwards, and then and it seems like Sue does that pretty naturally, and then he can get the cycle on top of that, right? So it's hard to, once you increase your leg cycle and make it so your legs go really, really fast, it's hard to then try to add that length in each one of your strides, which is what comes from the verticality of the movement pattern, okay? And what I mean by that is when you're pushing off the ground, they're pushing straight up, and that makes it so they have enough range to drive that other knee through. So see how he pushes up with that left leg? Now he can drive this knee through and extend that leg and then get it right back underneath him, right? So he doesn't land until it's back underneath him here, or close to being back underneath him. You can probably work on getting this movement could be a little bit more aggressive for him in order to make it so he can achieve a higher level of speed. But point being is that he does get it pretty close, where his foot gets pretty well back underneath him, and that's just because they're pushing off out of the ground. A lot of times when you start working on guys getting that knee extension, you're driving that knee up and getting that knee extension, they feel like their legs or their steps are too far out in front. Well, the reason they feel that is because they're not pressing off the ground good enough to get the verticality needed to be able to get your foot back up and through. Okay, that's a very important concept to be able to understand, is that you need to be able to drive your leg through, extend that knee, and how you push off of that back leg tells you how well you're going to be able to cycle that leg back and get that foot underneath you. So if you're not able to do that effectively, you're not able to do that well, you're going to end up having just overall slower times, because your feet are going to be you're not going to get your feet back underneath you, and you're going to feel off balance. You're not going to be able to create as much power, and that's an important part. The landing phase is probably the most important phase of sprinting. You have to be very good at landing, and you have to have a lot of the right biomechanics for landing. And real quick, I'll go into what those are. So when you land, you want to have your the middle part of your foot wants to be about even with the middle part of your ear, okay? And your knee and foot want to be basically right on top of each other at 90-degree angles, and then your hip's going to be a little bit behind. We'll go to the next one. The hip's going to be a little bit behind here, okay? But you can see how everything is pretty well aligned with from his head to the middle part of his foot. He has a little bit of a tendency to kind of have that forward head posture, so he's not going to be as engaged with his core because of that. So he can actually work on head position. That'll help him get a little bit more core activation, which could impact the flexion or the extension at the hip, just kind of depending on how the core compensates. But anyway, that is an important biomechanical feature of sprinting. Foot underneath, when you land, your foot wants to be underneath the ear. You want your knee and ankle to be right in a 90-degree angle. You want that hip to be slightly behind, and you want to make sure that you don't lose the stabilization within the ankle. I know we can't really see that here, but all the guys that, if you saw it from the other angle, you'd see that they have very good foot stabilization when they land, and that's probably where most people lose it when they're sprinting, is that they don't have the foot stabilization that they need in order to succeed. So yep, that's another breakdown here, guys. Good information. Take that information, put it into what you're doing. If you have any questions, reach out to me. My email is Morey, Morey, at yourperformancelab.com. We can do these breakdowns for you guys as well. Just go ahead and send me in the videos, and we'll be able to take a look at it. It is a service. It is something that you have to pay for. We give you exercises, though, with it. We give you the breakdown. We give you exercises. We can hop on a phone call. We're going to make it a valuable thing. It's only $100. It's not something that's insanely expensive, but the value's there, right? We want to make it so you guys become better sprinters, and the overall mindset is that if we do this for you, we want you to take a lot of value in what it is that you're getting. And if we do it for free, or if we don't charge a good price for it, it degrades the value, right? Just like if you buy a pair of shoes that is not as expensive, the value is not there. Okay, it's the same thing here. Our breakdowns are very valuable. Our exercises are very valuable. The information we're giving you is very valuable. Know that, understand that. If you want to get a breakdown, I love it. I just want to make sure that you guys it's clear on why the price is the price that it is. And it's $100. I mean, it's something that I think is a very, very reasonable price overall in the grand scheme of things. And if it can make a difference in, how you're sprinting, if it could shave a couple seconds or, milliseconds off how you're sprinting, then I think that's, that shows its value right there. So, check out our other breakdowns. We have a whole YouTube channel. We have a membership. I just finished my sprinting ebook. We haven't been able to release it yet. I just finished all the information. We're going through editing. We're putting pictures in. We're going to make it all nice for you guys. That will be released very, very soon. If you have any other questions for me, again, reach out to me. My email is Morey, Morey, @yourperformancelab.com. As always, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you soon.